When you want to make an object that has a geometric shape, like a rectangle or a circle, you could use one of the selection tools and fill it with color. But there's another way to make a shape that gives you more flexibility, and that's to use one of the shape tools. To see how it works, open this image from the practice files for this tutorial. Then, in the Tools panel, go down to the Shape tools, which are located here. Click the Flyout menu to see the different shape tools. I'm going to choose the Rounded Rectangle tool. Using this tool will automatically create a layer in the Layers panel. So go over to the Layers panel and select the layer above which you want your new shape layer. I'll select the background layer. Now come into the image and click and drag to create a shape with rounded corners. Photoshop has made a new layer over in the Layers panel. This is a special kind of layer, a shape layer, that contains smooth-edged objects that can be resized and reshaped and still retain their smooth edges. For example, we could reshape the roundness of the corners of this rounded rectangle shape. That's done in the Properties panel that popped out when we made the shape. Come down to this section of the Properties panel and hover over any of the corner icons, and then drag to the right to make the corners rounder. Because there's a highlighted link icon in between these four icons, all four corners change together. Let's close the Properties panel by clicking the double-pointed arrow at the top right of the panel, and then go to the Layers panel and click off the rounded rectangle layer onto a different layer for just a second. And as you do, take a look at the rounded corners, and you can see how smooth they are. Let's click back on the rounded rectangle layer again to see that we can also change the size of the entire shape and still retain the smooth edges. I'll go up to the Edit menu and choose Free Transform. And this time it says Free Transform Path because Photoshop knows what kind of object we have on this layer. Hold down the Shift key to constrain proportions and the Option key, that's the Alt key on Windows, to resize the shape from the center out. And then go to any of the corners and drag outward, and you can make the shape bigger. And while we're still in Free Transform, let's change the shape of this shape. I'll go to the bottom edge of the shape and I'll drag up. And then let's accept these changes by going up to the Options bar and clicking the check mark. Now, if you go back to the Layers panel and click on another layer, you can see that the edges of the shape are still smooth. Let's click on the rounded rectangle layer one more time to move the shape into place. I'll go to the Tools panel and I'll get the Move tool, and then I'll click and drag the shape using the pink smart guides that appear to align it to the other elements in the image. One of my favorite things about shape layers is the way that you can change the color of a shape layer on the fly. Go over to the Layers panel and double-click on the thumbnail on the rounded rectangle layer. That opens the color picker. As long as the color picker is open, when you move out into the image, your cursor changes to an eyedropper, and you can click on any part of the image to sample the color from there and automatically color your shape. Click OK to close the color picker. And you can reopen the color picker anytime the same way and choose a different color for your shape. In many ways, a shape layer acts just like any other layer. For example, you can change the opacity of a shape layer. To do that, go to the opacity slider at the top of the Layers panel and drag to the left to make the shape less opaque or more translucent. When you're ready to save an image that has shape layers, be sure to use the Save As command and save the working file in a format that retains layers, like the Photoshop or PSD format. That way, your shape layers will be available the next time you open the file so you can make changes to them. Take some time to experiment with some of the other shape tools that are located in the same place in the Tools panel, like the Ellipse tool, which you can use to make ovals and circles. Coming up, we'll explore the Custom Shape tool and discover lots of custom shapes that come with Photoshop that you may not know you have.